Okay, so it's 6 p.m. in Tokyo, so I think we can start now. So, well, thank you very much to everyone for coming today. And well, we are going to leave some couple of minutes for more people to come, but we already a whole family here. So let's just quickly. I would like to just walk quickly through the technical part of the webinar. So we are holding today this webinar on the future of MaaS in Asian megacities. Particularly looking forward to that post-COVID world that we are all thinking about. And I would like to just remind all the attendees to feel free at any moment to make any questions through the Q&A section. If you don't see the Q&A section, it should be just below on the screen. And I also invite to every single attendee to introduce briefly himself or herself into the chat, which you can also find below, and just tell us where you're coming from or what do you do, so we can see how can we forget or how can we forge these collaborations, international collaborations. So today we have three amazing speakers from China and Japan, coming from Odakyu Railway Company from Tokyo, one of the largest railway companies here, as well as the Shenzhen Bus Group, one of the largest ones in China. Before going through the presentation, I will just double check that all the speakers are ready, which seems so. And yes, great. Fujigaki-san from Tokyo, Yoma from Shenzhen, and Haley Liao from Shenzhen as well. So this is our basic agenda. So I will just spend a couple of minutes to introduce the whole webinar and what we do at Cities Forum as we organize it. And I will shortly let the speakers to give us that their presentations about their issues and the challenge of MaaS and what they are doing and how we can learn from that. And then we will go quickly through the Q&As. And we really invite to every participant to let their own questions and their own anything you want to know and anything we can do to promote that exchange. And we will have some closing remarks. So I will surely go into what we do, but before I would like to wait a few seconds to let more people enter. We already almost 60. So we got the first person talking in the chat, Artin Liebenhelm from Micromobility Industries Europe, based in Berlin. So hello. Okay, so I guess we can go now. So welcome again, everyone. And well, I'm Azarel from Cities Forum. I'm the strategic advisor on emerging mobility services. And Cities Forum is a global non-for-profit organization where we're trying to drive the change and to create more sustainable urban development. One of the big focus we have at the moment is, of course, mobility and transportation. And we do believe that under the current situation with the climate change and COVID-19, as well economic crisis and so on, we should definitely put the people in these cities in the center, and we should try to create those international collaborations and exchange to foster that sustainability. What we do is, so we mainly do 4 key things. We work with cities, companies, organizations to drive the change on the urban development. And we generally do several tasks, such as providing strategic advice on sustainable mobility, sustainable urban development, energy. We focus on driving sustainable growth of cities and in different countries. We clearly facilitate matchmaking and enable those to exchange the best practices across different regions as nowadays we have a global environment where we all need to change, and when we all need to share and collaborate, create partnerships to achieve those development goals. And I would like to briefly introduce a few of the projects we are at the moment being involved. So we have been involved in several multilateral projects, such as the Project Impact, and where we analyze the impact of COVID in different cities by surveying more than 450 transport professionals. And we share that knowledge into a white paper recently published. We have been involved in electromobility in Europe, such as the User Chip project. And at the moment, we are also doing a very big framework for mobility data specifications and harvesting in India, where it's a country where mobility service is emerging. And let's talk about where is actually mobility as a service emerging. And that leads to the key point of this webinar, so the ease of Asian. So ease of Asian is actually very characterized for increasing urbanization trend. We have seen that East Asian cities are actually mega cities. They are beyond 10 million people living now. And the prospect for the future is that that urbanization process is increasingly going on, particularly in regions such as the South Indian continent and also China, but also Indonesia, Singapore, Malaysia, Japan. So we believe that there is a lot of incoming challenges, and actually real challenges on climate change and mobility. So for today, we would like to focus on this region, as there's a lot of things we can learn from what is going on here from leaders such as today Tokyo and Shenzhen. But we really invite to have this international exchange on best practices everywhere, so we can actually learn from each other. So I would like to just quickly ask about what will be the future in East Asian about mobility service. Will the mobility service be the future of transport here? Will be a mobility service the future somewhere else? So I think it's better if our speakers, they let us know. So I would like to immediately let our first speaker from Shenzhen Bus Group, Haley Liao, to let them know about it. So Liao-san, if you could share your screen, please feel free.
Yep. Okay. So I think you have to stop sharing, and then I can start sharing.
Can you now?
Yep. Awesome. Okay. Hi, everyone. Thanks, Azaro, for the very nice introduction. It's such a pleasure for me and for Shenzhen Bus Group here to share a little bit about our experiences during this very difficult time, and also just to talk a little bit about our thoughts and plans on the future of both MaaS and particularly dealing with COVID-19, the reality that all of us are dealing with right now. So actually, so I did see on the attendees list, there are a lot of you are from Europe, all over the world. And just to give you a little bit of background on Shenzhen and Shenzhen Bus Group. So Shenzhen is actually one of the largest city in China. We are bordering Hong Kong in southern China, with a population around 20 million people. So it's one of the mega cities in China with a huge density. And it was the first special economic zone in China. So it's known for being a high-tech area with companies like BYD, Tencent, and Huawei, who are very much in the news right now. So these companies are all in Shenzhen, and Shenzhen Bus Group is the largest public transportation operator in Shenzhen. So we operate around 6,000 buses and also around 5,000 taxis. We also operate cross-border buses between Hong Kong and Shenzhen, and also some travel services as well. So perhaps for those of you who are not familiar with Shenzhen Bus Group, we are actually the first and the only pure electric public transport operator in the world. So all 11,000 fleet of ours in the company and in Shenzhen as well, including the buses and taxis, are completely electric. And that also plays a little bit of a factor in how we talk about COVID as well, because as we are seeing research that particularly in Shenzhen, the environment's quite good comparing to other megacities in China, but the city air quality has improved significantly after the entire electrification process, which was finished in 2017 for the buses and 2019 for the taxis. So back to what's happening recently. So since COVID-19 broke out in China in January, so Shenzhen, luckily, and most of the other megacities in China have not been very affected, particularly because of a very strict and drastic lockdown that the government implemented starting from January. So actually, if you can see from the chart here, right now we still have less than 500 cases, 0 active case in Shenzhen for the past 3 months. But since this was China was the first country where the virus broke out from, we were in quarantine and in lockdown from January to March. And then starting from March, we started to going back to work. And I would say right now, especially in the past 3 months, China has been business as usual. I am actually currently in Guangzhou and actually just returned from Shanghai. So I have been traveling abundantly domestically, and things are pretty much back to normal, but everyone is wearing masks. And all of the hygiene habits have, I think, forever changed as well, particularly in cities with high density. So back to on-demand services, actually, so I will talk a little bit more about the on-demand services that we run at Shenzhen Bus Group. We had a joint venture company with Didi, which is the ride-hailing company in China. So we have a JV with them called Didi Udian, and we run on-demand services with them. So actually, during COVID, during the peak of the pandemic in China, from January to the beginning of February, we shut down all of the on-demand services. And this is the ridership chart that you can see where it impacted our ridership level, especially in comparison with corresponding period in 2019. So our buses are for our normal routine lines, passenger ridership has decreased by around 90% in the peak of the lockdown, but it has been gradually picking up. And we have been seeing going back to around 60% in May and 70% in June. And now I think, so in the peak period, we are still seeing, 100% capacity, but in non-peak area, actually, we are still seeing the ridership drop comparing to 2019. And I think that is still going to stay for a little while into the near future, if particularly the situation around the world is still not under control right now. And even Hong Kong and Japan, Korea, we're seeing some areas with surging second wave and third wave of COVID as well. So I think both local governments and operators like us are still very much on alert on this is going to be an ongoing battle for the next coming years, probably until the vaccine comes out. And because of the ridership drop, I think what we have been hearing even from our colleagues from the same industry is, you know, there's immense challenge on fares and revenues. And even though we are majority owned by the Shenzhen local government, we're also a joint venture company between Shenzhen government and also Kowloon Motor Bus from Hong Kong, which and other listed companies on Hong Kong Stock Exchange as well. So some of our services, such as taxi services, they are completely commercially run, and they have been impacted the most by COVID because most of our fare gets the share from nightlife activities. So people, they go to bars and restaurants and they will hail a taxi at night. So what we did is that we provided subsidies for our drivers to encourage them to come back to work. And we also implemented a ton of safety and also disinfectant measures on both our buses and taxis, but that's another topic. And we also worked with, we also came up with new services, so such as picking up school children to offer home to school services for parents, because our taxis are equipped with security camera, and now with the parents not wanting students and kids want to go on other form of public transportation, they can just book our taxis on the app that we have and pay a slightly more premium price than buses or metro. So this service has been massively popular since we rolled out a few months ago. And I think we're going to need to be continually be more innovative and come up with new solutions in this challenging time, because I think as the environment change, I think the customer demands are also drastically changing, particularly in safety, hygiene, and I think those will stay even when COVID goes away in a few years. And we also partner with delivery service, such as Shenfeng, which is one of the biggest deliveries service company in China. So our taxi drivers can help them deliver their goods if it's on their way as well. So then they split the revenue with SF. And this in period where we have a low passenger demand, this is a very good supplement for our drivers. And just to briefly introduce our on-demand services. So we have two types of products with DD. One is the customized bus, where we started running in 2016, and now we have around 800 lines in Shenzhen. These buses are smaller than the normal bus that we run. They're typically 40 seaters, and they run a ticket slightly more premium price than our normal bus fare, which is very, very cheap, around 30 cents US dollar. And this is considered, this line of bus service, to be a fast track to deliver particularly white collar workers from their home to CBD area. So it has less stops comparing to your normal bus lines. So this would probably have only 2 to 3 stops per line, and it gets you to work much faster. And people can vote on particular line. And if we see there's an increasing demand for specific stops in line, then we constantly change our service based on the demand. And we are consistently reviewing these data and our passenger requests. So after 4 years of operations, we're now in 7 cities, including Shenzhen and northern cities like Shenyang and smaller cities as well. And these are some of the stats. And the no fixed route service, we call it the minibus service. So think of this as like a large Uber pool. This would just be a 10-seater small bus where they have no fixed route, no fixed line, where you can just download the app and then hail it on your phone. And you're typically pooling this with either 2 people, 3 people, depending on the area. And this is mostly serving non-peak hours in residential areas. So this service is still in trial. We started rolling out in 2018. So if the previous service, the customized line, was servicing mostly peak hour passengers, this is a complementary service for non-peak hours passengers. So I think these are all sort of commercialized services that we are adding to our normal operations, including the buses and taxis, to cater to more flexible customers' demands. So I think, and particularly I think with the phone apps penetration being very high in China, these has been quite successful, and we are seeing quite a good return on them as well. So this is some of the stats. And we see these services not as a supplement to our traditional buses and metros, but we see them as a complementary ones where they probably pick you up to a nearby bus station or a nearby transport hub where the metro lines meet. And these are typically smaller fleet. So I think that's one of the trends that we're seeing in Shenzhen and also in China as well. Yep, just talked about this. And yeah, so this is just a brief overview, and obviously you're welcome to ask me any questions after. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Liang-san, for your presentation. So I think we can shortly let Yohei-san enter. So please feel free to share your screen.
Okay. Okay, can you see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you for introducing. I'm Yohei Fujigaki, and I'm working at Next Generation Mobility team of Odakyu Electric Railway. I'm a product manager of MaaS application, EMOT, and data platform, MaaS Japan. Today, I'd like to introduce about MaaS pilot project of Odakyu, including EMOT and MaaS Japan. And also, I'd like to present my idea about MaaS in the age with COVID-19. So, okay, this is the contents of today's my presentation. First, I'd like to introduce briefly about Odakyu Electric Railway and Odakyu Group. After that, I introduce my MaaS pilot project on EMOT and common data platform, MaaS Japan. Finally, I'd like to share my idea about MaaS with COVID-19. At first, I'd like to introduce briefly about Odakyu Electric Railway and Odakyu Group. The main business of Odakyu is railway operation. In Tokyo, some private railway companies are operating railway businesses around Tokyo area, and Odakyu is one of them. The total length of Odakyu railway line is about 120 kilometers. And the population of cities around Odakyu line is about 5 million. And our daily average passengers are 2.1 million. We have various types of cities along the line, including the center of Tokyo, Shinjuku, and popular sightseeing spots like Hakone and Enoshima, and also residential area like Setagaya and Kawasaki. And Odakyu Electric Railway is a member of Odakyu Group companies. Odakyu Group is composed about 100 companies, and our business is not only transportation, but also retail and real estate, hotels, restaurants, and so on. We have various business in many fields as Odakyu Group. In the field of transportation business, Odakyu Group companies are also operating bus and taxi services. We have several bus companies in Odakyu Group and have around 3,500 bus vehicles in total. And we are one of the largest bus operating company group in Japan. And taxi companies are also included in Odakyu Group, and total number of taxi vehicles in Odakyu Group is about 2,000. As a background of our MaaS project, I'd like to introduce demographic trends in Odakyu line area. The total population, the blue line here, will decrease both in Japan and Odakyu line area. Population of commuters, the red line here, will also decrease, and it will decrease more rapidly. However, the green line, the number of people without car ownership, is estimated to increase. This means that the demand of mobility services for people without car ownership will increase in the future. And that's one of the reasons why we promote MaaS projects. Based on these backgrounds, we are promoting next generation mobility strategy. In midterm management plan in 2018, we announced that we will provide multimodal seamless mobility services through updates of last mile mobility services and MaaS. Updates of last mile mobility services include autonomous bus pilot and on-demand transit and digitalization of bus operation. MaaS here means one-stop searching and booking and payment service application, including railway, bus, taxi, bicycle, and other mobility service operations, mobility services. And this is some example about the autonomous bus pilot. We have industry academia collaboration with Keio University, and we have done several time field tests of autonomous bus. And in our MaaS system, we are planning to provide one-stop services not only for mobility services, but also for destination facilities. Users may purchase combination of these as MaaS packages. Our application has a function of route searching, booking, payment, validation, and so on. We aim to enhance daily activities by MaaS. The next topic is about MaaS pilot project on EMOT. Last year, we, Odakyu, started MaaS pilot using smartphone application EMOT. This is the logo of MaaS application EMOT. The name EMOT comes from emotion and mobility. In our MaaS projects, we are caring about emotion of users, what they think and feel when they are moving, or choose which mode to choosing the mode here. So we are really carrying the emotion. So that's why we name it Emot. Emot is now providing multimodal route search and digital ticketing services. In multimodal route search, the route search results including railway, bus, ship, taxi, bike sharing is available. And as a digital ticketing services, tickets for mobility services such as tickets for railway and buses and also other services, and it's available. And in addition, the ticket for the events such as local food event or food subscriptions are also available now. We started 3 pilot projects using Emot from October 2019. MaaS for sightseeing, shopping, and dining. As a MaaS for sightseeing, we are providing digital pass for sightseeing at Hakone area, a famous sightseeing spot in Tokyo, near Tokyo, in Tokyo area. As a MaaS for shopping, we are providing bus tickets to and from shopping at suburban residential area. As a MaaS for dining, we are providing food subscription at restaurant in stations. I'll explain each pilot project in detail. First, these are the screenshots of digital Hakone Free Pass in Emot. You can buy the digital Hakone Free Pass in ticket store by credit card. Hakone Free Pass provides unlimited rides on trains, buses, ropeways, and ships. By activating the ticket, the valid ticket screen with animation starts, and you can get on trains, buses, ropeways, and ships. Next, in suburban residential area, Shinyurigaoka, we are providing bus tickets to and from shopping. For those who bought more than 2,500 yen in Shinyurigaoka, Elmi Road, a shopping center of Odakyu, we provide bus ticket in Emot. Users shows the receipt of shopping to the information counter, and then a code is shown. By reading the code by Emot, user can get bus ticket in Emot. By activating the ticket and showing the valid ticket screen with animation, you can get on the bus around Shinyurigaoka area. The third topic of our pilot is food subscription. We are providing food subscription at restaurants in stations, in railway stations. Users can buy food subscriptions tickets in Emot and use it by reading the code in front of the restaurant and show the screen to the staff. But currently, this service is not available because of COVID-19. Emot provides a ticketing function not only for Odakyu Group services, but also for other companies promoting MaaS projects. We are now selling tickets in Hamamatsu area in cooperation with Enshu Railway. And you can download Emot from App Store, so please try it if you are interested in. The route search function is free. Okay. The next topic is MaaS Japan, a common data platform that is serving for Emot and other MaaS applications in Japan. MaaS Japan is an open and common database for MaaS in Japan. It provides integrated API and data connection services, including digital ticketing function. MaaS Japan are connecting to information and booking API of several transportation service providers including taxi hailing app, car sharing, and on-demand mobility services. As a provider of API, we are providing the API to other MaaS applications in Japan. And also, we agreed with MaaS Global and Mobility X to cooperate in terms of data connection and service integration with MaaS Japan. MaaS Global operating WIM in Europe and Mobility X operating Zipster in Singapore. Through cooperation with global MaaS applications, we aim to provide a hassle-free user experience to the tourist by enabling multimodal route searches, provision of real-time transportation information in Japan, and purchase of digital transportation tickets in Japan from their daily used MaaS applications. We are working with MaaS Global and Mobility X to cooperate in terms of data connection and service integration with MaaS Japan from last year. But unfortunately, the overseas tourism is suspended due to COVID-19, but we are preparing for collaboration to welcome tourists after COVID-19. And we hope in the near future we can welcome tourists from all over the world to Japan by the function of MaaS Japan. Okay. Finally, I'd like to present my idea about MaaS with COVID-19. In the situation with COVID-19, MaaS applications can contribute safe transportation by congestion information and on-demand mobility services. And we are now studying about these functions. In congested rush hour, it is usually difficult to keep social distance. So in Japan, many companies, many operators providing statistical congestion information and encouraging off-peak commuting. MaaS application can help congestion reduction by providing real-time congestion information and by suggesting less congested route in route search function. And the other topic is on-demand bus services that enables door-to-door shared ride services. Usually, on-demand bus services assure social distance in the vehicle by controlling the number of passengers by booking systems. So I think the demand for on-demand mobility services might increase in the situation with COVID-19 and maybe after COVID-19. And actually, we are now struggling on the service design of MaaS with COVID-19, and we are studying about congestion prediction and on-demand mobility services. Okay, that's all for my presentation. Thank you very much for your close attention.
Thank you very much, Fujiyaki-san. Yeah, it was definitely a very interesting presentation on the light of what is going on in Japan. So I think we can, we already got a plethora of questions. So I would like to move towards the Q&A. So first, thank you very much for all the amazing comments and questions we already collected. And I would like to start a questions with with the chat from sorry, I'm just having some technical issues. Okay, sorry. So I would like to start the questions for Shenzhen first, as they did the first presentation. And I would like to start with, there have been several questions more or less looking on the same point. So Jail Woon asked for Haley, what was the fare box recovery in Shenzhen bus groups, and how and now how are those losses regarding COVID-19? And on top of that, Jonathan Galliano asked if you could share some economics regarding the minibus project, as most of the van pooling and share mobility system so far has not been profitable. So.
Okay. Hi. Hi, Yale. Yeah. So for during COVID, actually, our taxis revenues dropped above 90%. So we actually applied for extra subsidies from local government for both our taxis and buses. And our buses is a different story though, because we run on a subsidies models for our buses, because as I said earlier, our ticket fare is a flat fee for 2 RMB, which is 40 cents euros, because the government provides both service subsidies and also purchase subsidies for both if you're procuring electric buses. So all of that because they wanted to make public transportation completely affordable to everyone that lives in Shenzhen. So our revenue, just to be completely frank, it was never based on fare price. We never made money on fare price. So I think luckily then COVID had, even though there's a severe drop on our fares, it actually wasn't a big drop on our profit, because we also suspended I think more than 70% of our services during the peak of lockdown. So that saved sort of the human costs on drivers, on our service professionals, and all of the operations costs as well. However, there has been an increase in sort of the supplies and emergency procurement that we would have to do on mask, disinfectants, and all of the and all of the masks for both employees, drivers, and we have more than 30,000 employees in the company. So all of that extra layer of cost has been added as well.
Thank you very much for your answer. Does Yuma wants to add something to that?
Hi, Joe.
Is run as a community service rather than a profitable kind of a business. I mean, although as I said, we do have a very, very stringent kind of commercial attitude within the company in terms of like that we whatever we do, whatever we invest in, we need to have a a positive kind of outlook and a report result in terms of economic kind of return. But a substantial chunk of that is coming from government in sort of like in terms of subsidies. I don't actually call it subsidies. I would call it like an investment in the community. And we do actually, by claiming the subsidies from government, we do have to go through a very, very stringent list of criteria in terms of our service delivery, the number of miles we do every year, and whether we get any complaint from passengers, and accident rate. So we have a very, very stringent list of items which we have to adhere to. So we have been running a very successful business in terms of if you look at it from from subsidies point of view, and that's why we have one of the oldest public transport operator, Udian Motor Bus, which is like a listed company. They have invested into Shenzhen since 2005. So we do run a commercial enterprise, but a large chunk of that money is coming from subsidies. And as Harley mentioned, we also run, apart from the buses, we also run cross-boundary services. I mean, these all have to be financially viable, and the taxi business has to be financially viable. But the COVID situation has actually hit those industries very, those services pretty bad. In terms of the cross-boundary business, we've almost have nothing since the middle of February. And both the Hong Kong government is subsidizing our Hong Kong side of the business, and the government in Shenzhen side is subsidizing the Shenzhen side of the business. So yeah, that's the situation. And we're also having to look at, we're also having to look at innovative ideas of making money, recouping some of our losses. Some of those Harley mentioned, and like, this cooperation with Sunfeng, the logistic company. We're now bringing out new services and, taking school children back to school. Instead of using sort of like school buses, which typically would carry maybe 30 to 40 kids in the bus, we're now using our taxi to run school services for children, like one or two kids, which minimizes sort of like the exposure and the risk of them being infected by any, the COVID-19. So we are constantly reinventing ourselves, and COVID-19 has actually given us some opportunities to look at new services. I mean, even including premium taxis, which we're looking into. So whereby our drivers will be asked to open doors for all the passengers, and then the vehicles will be disinfected, after each ride. So yeah, I mean, as I said, there is always a silver lining in every cloud, and then we are COVID-19 has given us some opportunities to look at new services, and through the use of mobile apps. So yeah.
Thank you very much for your questions. On top of this question, there's another one that is asking if there is any form of MaaS in Shenzhen that is currently driven by a mobile phone app, and if so, who is leading that? Is a private initiative? Is a public transport initiative?
How did you want to answer that?
Hi, sorry, could you repeat the last part? So I think it cut out a little bit. The last part. Yeah.
So Maxime is asking if there is any already existing MaaS preferred app in Shenzhen, and if so, who is managing that app? Is that a public transport app? Is that a DD app? What is that?
Okay. Yeah, so actually, one of the company that we invested called Halian, so they do autonomous vehicle in Shenzhen. They have developed a MaaS app that launched last year. So I think right now is still in beta, and there hasn't been, to my knowledge, there hasn't been one single app run by public transport authorities. However, I think that is quite likely to happen, because I think there will be an effort to consolidate both on the ground public transportation. So that means buses, taxis, micromobility services, and metros. So consolidate in a way to link them together, because a lot of especially the larger ones, all have a government-owned background. So I think this puts them in a position where they might be able to do a bigger effort on that.
Okay, thank you very much. So now we are jumping to Tokyo, and we are traveling to the largest city in the world with some questions. So first, Yelun has a question that says that indeed research has shown that MaaS needs to be multi-service, not only multimodal. So to what extent has retail partnerships, such as the one you mentioned in Shinjuku, driven demand for transportation? And how do you attract these partnerships into the ecosystems? And what kind of challenges have been arise on that?
Okay. And as written in the question, we also believe that MaaS needs to be multi-service. And actually, we are now measuring how much retail shopping center partnership with mobility services is driving demand of mobility services. And also, how is the bus service, if the bus service increases the customers to shopping center. Sorry, we have no open results yet, but we are now trying to measure the effect of the collaboration with retail and mobility services.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Also, there are actually several questions asking for the same, which is what kind of challenges and what kind of issues have you found when talking about interoperability about MaaS Japan, so databases in Japan? What is competition? What is cooperation? What kind of challenges are there?
Yes. Yeah, I believe that the interoperability of MaaS platforms are really important to build MaaS ecosystem. So we are now providing APIs to the other applications, but we also would like to promote the collaboration with other MaaS platform or database. Actually, we did not understand how other platform or database player in Japan is thinking about, but basically we'd like to connect MaaS Japan to both applications and also to other MaaS platform. However, as you know, it is the really the beginning of the MaaS pilots and platform in Japan. So I'm not sure if it will work very well.
And surely it will work out somehow. I will actually like to, I mean, as you mentioned before, but I think it's very important, and I would like to stress to the audience that might be not familiarized with the case of Japan, that Odakyu was actually one of the first, it was really one of the first transport companies in Japan to launch this commercial application, eMod, on last year, although there are many others, but it was a very novel thing. And as already Shenzhen has already talked a little bit about it, I also know that Odakyu has experimented with on-demand services and share shuttles, autonomous buses, and so on. So I think our audience will, from looking at some comments, I would like to hear more about what have you learned from there? Do you see a future in those technologies?
Sorry. Can I add one thing to the previous answer? Okay. Yeah. Actually, we have done a pilot project with JR East last February, and we connected each the platform of each company and provided the applications in the in Tachikawa, one of the city in Tokyo area. And also we are collaborating with JR. We are continuously collaborating with JR East. And also the GovRead MaaS pilot in Japan is helping the knowledge sharing and also the collaboration between the different companies for the stakeholders, including cities. So yeah, I think the GapRead MaaS pilot is definitely helping the not only the knowledge sharing, but also the it's stimulating the collaboration between among different stakeholders.
Thank you very much. So, all right. So, just time-wise, I think I would like to make a last questions for all our speakers. Is a questions I normally make in these webinars, and I found many people are very interested in that, from those who work in public transport, those who work in private transport, and even government. So, I would like to know from all of you if there is something you could change or you can access, say for example, a technology-driven tool or some app, a solution, whatever, anything that, is there anything you need or you would like to see in the near future that so far you haven't seen, so far no one has offered to you? Is there any, like, what is your key priority when it comes to MaaS right now? What is that technology you're looking for but no one is offering you?
Shall I go first? Sarah? Hi.
Yep.
Like, do you want me to go first? Okay. Right. I think it's a very interesting question, Sarah. For me, it's not so much the technologies. I'm sure Fujigaki-san would agree with that. It's not about a technology. It's about cooperation. You know, the thing that's holding a MaaS back is everybody's holding on to their data and their life, not willing to share it. I think what is really needed is a platform whereby everybody is able to share the data and also share revenue. I think that is the most important thing. For me, for MaaS to be successful, we need that kind of platform. Yeah, that's my wish list. Okay.
Fujigaki-san?
Yes, I strongly agree with you, Joma. And yeah, I think that not only the technology, but also the architecture for cooperation is very important to promote MaaS ecosystem. And yeah, I believe it's important to share the dataset and functions while keeping the revenue and profit in each sectors. So, okay.
Yeah, so I also second both of the commentators' opinion. One other thing I would say is I would also like to see more inclusivity to also populations that are disadvantaged in both, you know, such as people with disability, people who don't have access to smartphones. So in China, the context is a little bit different. The smartphone penetration rate is very high here. However, we have a gradually aging population very soon, catching up to Japan, where I think, you know, you guys have been dealing with it very, very well. And we are also launching services that can cater to more senior citizens. So we just launched, so anyone, senior citizens above 60 years old in Shenzhen, they can ride our bus fare for free if you just show your ID. So services like that has not gone in execution. There's still a lot of hiccups. So I think I would still like to see technology provide more access to a greater population. Yeah.
Thank you very much all for your questions. So again, it looks like there are more human issues than technology issues. And it also looks like we are going on that and we are going through that. So there's still some few questions, but time-wise, it's already 6, so I would like to finish here. Before that, if all these speakers are happy to, I may forward you some of these questions, and maybe you can provide some answers, and we will email the participants so they could at least get some feedback on that. Overall, I mean, it's very clear for me after hearing these very good presentations and very novel issues that there's a lot of interest in mobility service in East Asia. And it also, as you all mentioned, although COVID has clearly impacted ridership and clearly impacted the business models everywhere in the world, when we think about Asia being at the forefront of the COVID crisis, where it all started, like China, we can actually see that this public transport in these megacities somehow has been relatively successful to establish some roadmap to get over that. And it looks like technology is it's a very important thing on that roadmap. So I hope all our attendees have grasped this idea, and we are very much looking forward to any feedback you may provide. So I'm going to forward soon an email with some of the answers from these questions. And if you want to know more about what we do in Cities Forum, feel free to reach out and feel free to email us. And sorry. So if you want to know more about what we do and foster those international or local collaborations on sustainability, feel free to reach us. Feel free to reach us on LinkedIn, on our website, on citiesforum.org. And if you want to know more, just communicate about it. That's how we do. So thank you very much. Is there any final remark that any of the speakers wants to make?
No, just wishing everybody a good time, and stay safe, everybody.
Yep, wishing everyone stay safe. Just light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, stay safe, and thank you very much for discussing with us.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much all. And as you all say, stay safe, which is the most important thing. Thank you very much. We finished here, so thank you very much.